Amira Hass. I'm a journalist, Israeli Jew, and I've been living in the occupied territory for 20 years already, 3 years in Gaza, and now 17 years in the West Bank, Ramallah. And I write for the Israeli daily Haaretz, which is not the biggest one. It is very well known outside of Israel. Actually, it's one of the smallest in terms of Israeli readership, but it has a sort of influence and on certain more governmental and academic circles, and also in English, so it has a readership outside of Israel. It's a very liberal in the good sense of the word, that it allows a variety of opinions to be heard and to be voiced in the paper. The position of the paper is clearly against, I mean, for the two-state solution, clearly, with different shades among different people. I think it is also much more, in the past years, it has understood the danger of, the danger of Israeli settlement policies and how it contradicts the official statements. It does not shy at using the words apartheid when it wants to describe Israeli policies in the West Bank. But at the same time, I think that the official position is that Israel is should be a Jewish democratic state. Though, of course, there are some writers who challenge the possibility of this put together. As a paper, it allows for very clear debates within the Israeli society to come out to the fore through the paper. Controversial, of course. I mean, I would have been worried if it were not. I come, of course, from a different tradition than Haaretz. I'm not coming from a Zionist background. And I'm not the only one who writes. I mean, I'm the only one who lives in the occupied territory, but I'm not the only one in Haaretz which writes about, which covers the Israeli occupation and the discrimination. Our role is indeed to use the very large freedom of information that exists in Israel in order to try and reach a public which does not want to know. And this is the question, how you break this wall. Because the problem in Israel is not about censorship. I mean, people do talk about censorship, but about the real things that matter to Palestinians, like colonization, even behavior of soldiers, attacks by settlers. There is no censorship on such information. The only buffer between the information and its dissemination is the will of the people to know, the Israelis. So this is our main, I would say that our main role is to also convince our editors that all this information is important. And also with the editors to see how we break the routine, because for journalism, routine is an enemy. So when things happen as a routine, as a way of routine, it stops being news. So the media has a tendency not to cover it anymore. But what happens if this routine is the very thing that we have to alert about? The routine of attacks, the routine of colonization. So we have to find the instruments to write about this routine, but in a way which will not seem to be a routine. And this is one of the tasks of journalists, of myself, of my editors, who understand the danger of the Israeli, the routine of oppression, who understand the danger, but at the same time, as editors, as journalists, they want to have something new all the time. Okay. You see? So, if to be less abstract, then instead of writing, like I have a young colleague who is very bright, Chaim Levinson, his name, and he's not coming from the left wing at all, but he is very innovative about describing things. So, for example, he just did a little a comparison between how Israeli authorities in the West Bank encouraged or enable the construction of a Jewish settlement, new settlement, and how they do not allow for a Palestinian village to, how they do not recognize the right of a Palestinian village to develop and to have a planning, a master plan. So he made this kind of comparison. So that's what I say, new instruments and new methods to say the very same thing. In a nutshell, I think that Israel is becoming more and more suicidal. That these policies against the Palestinians and these policies which run against even the common sense of many nations in the world are only endangering the likelihood of a Jewish community to remain in the area. And I'm not talking now about a solution or not, this solution or that solution. But if you want to remain as a Jewish community in that region, our insistence to be bastion or an outshoot of an Israel of foreign powers and military powers, foreign military powers. History has taught that this is counterproductive for us, for the Israelis. But at the same time, Palestinians, of course, paid the price of these policies, and because I live among Palestinians, I tend to be less alarmed, maybe. Not alarmed, it's not the right word, but I'm very impressed by several things that I see with Palestinian. First, they know, and I learned from them to separate, they know how to separate between the global political situation and their personal life. So they know how to live a life and to plan for their own life and to aspire for something in spite of the harsh conditions and the very depressing conditions. This is one part. Their rootedness, their belongingness to the place is beyond doubt. True, there are great groups of youngsters who think of emigrating and want to emigrate, and very often they say so not so much because of the occupation, but because of the internal situation, the conflict, the alienation that they feel with their authorities, be it Hamas or Fatah. But still you have a sense of belonging to the country that all Israeli schemes of colonization do not manage to eradicate. I'm working now a lot in Area C with a very scattered and the most deprived communities that you have in the West Bank. And I sometimes say these are the real fighters, liberation fighters, because the way that they keep the land against all Israeli, both official governmental attacks and settlers attacks, are really admirable. And I think they don't get the credit they should from the Palestinian society. So there are new things now because of the alienation of the general public from their own leaderships. There are all kinds of initiatives in the formation and thoughts by Palestinians. I believe that the real change cannot happen without a very thorough change in Palestinian internal approach to the issues, internal relations, and the strategy of liberation. Because right now there is much more repetition of old things, and repetition which is done out of inertia, not of thinking. This is my take. But still we are at the beginning of this. I have no doubt that as everywhere else in the world, I mean, thoughts develop, ideas develop, the old guard will have to listen to the new guard and to change. At the same time, the new guard should also learn from the past, not repeat just the mistakes of the old guards. So, but all these things are in the making, and I do believe that the change can happen when there is a decision, and it requires the Palestinians for a lot of change, which might have an impact on international attitudes, etc. It's not enough to say that the solidarity groups and Israeli activism, this is not going to bring the change, because it's the people who mostly suffer from Israeli policies who have to take the lead. That's my understanding. The Oslo concept was very sly because it made the Palestinian Authority as a buffer between the people and the occupation. At the same time, the Palestinian Authority gives services to the people and represents the people in one way or the other. But it is always a buffer between the occupation and the anger of the people. And this is a situation so complicated that needs special address and rethinking among people. It's not for me, I can say that people they look for a change, but it's not clear yet how to make this change.